And welcome into the Juck on Bucks post-game show. How we doing, guys? Sorry I'm a bit late. What a game, man. Interesting game. Offense played amazing. Offense scored 7 touchdowns on just 9 possessions as the Buckeyes beat the Marshall Thundering Herd 49-14. A whole lot of stuff to talk about. A lot of great stuff. Couple not so great things. We had some questions coming into the game for sure. And in my list of questions, one of them was, the kicking was atrocious. That was something I can't recall ever seeing. Fielding with 3 straight kickoffs out of bounds, but we'll get to the bad. Let's start with the great stuff. Well, I guess the defense lost their streak, right? We were hoping for no touchdowns. They gave up one right off the rip as Earl Stone with a legendary performance that he will tell his grandkids about as he led the Thundering Herd straight down the field in their opening possession in the shoe to score a touchdown. And really, credit to Marshall. They looked pretty sharp early on. The defense got a slow start, and definitely Tyliek Williams' value really showed today how impactful he is on that defensive line, because Hero Canoe got the start in his absence. Hero did not look so sharp. Jason Moore we saw on early on in there, and he also didn't really get much playing time after that. But Tywone Malone played quite a bit today. I thought Tywone played pretty good. But overall, the standard that we've become accustomed to on the defensive line, not so great early on. Didn't help that there was a lot of short stuff. But even on the running game, it seemed like they were not quite bowing up like we're used to seeing them bow up. On the offensive side of the ball, Quinshon was amazing. Chip was amazing. This is kind of the running game that we all kind of thought like could be possible when Quinshon first dropped that tweet 2 minutes after the season ended last year on January, whatever it was with the national championship ending. Quinshon pops the tweet off, and we're immediately thinking Quinn and Trey together. What could that look like? Today we saw it. This was just amazing. Trey was also excellent. Chunk play after chunk play after chunk play. Trey's touchdown run was so impressive. The linebacker had him dead to rights. He stiff arms him off of him, catches his balance, hits the afterburners. It was fantastic. But Quinshon, and I'll admit, Quinshon was everybody was talking about Quinshon and how great he was. And it was kind of getting to me like, yes, he's great, but don't forget about Trey. Trey's our guy. Man, Quinshon really feels like ours to me now. Like, it took me a little while to warm up to the new guy coming in. And the whole transfer thing, I'm just getting used to, like having a star already come onto the team. Man, that was just amazing. What a performance. That dude is the real deal. He had 173 yards on 14 carries with 2 touchdowns. Trey with 76 yards on 6 carries. So 14-6 was the carry breakdown for Quinn to Trey. Peoples also with 6 carries later on. That first run by Peoples was the real deal, man. He is absolutely everything they're talking about. The real deal for sure. Ryan Day goes bananas on some garbage officials. Boy, they had a trash game. It's been a hot topic in college football the last couple of weeks, officiating all around the country. These guys were bad, man. They were bad. They had a rough outing, and Ryan Day wasn't having it. He absolutely lost his cool for a minute there in a way that we rarely see Ryan Day kind of get fired up like that. So that was pretty fun to see, actually. I kind of liked it. I'll take that 15-yard penalty for Ryan Day if we could see more of that out of him. And this is, part of him not having to call plays. He can get down there and get in the business and mix it up, and I kind of like it. I like seeing the fire out of him. He has taken, obviously, a bigger role in special teams, so I'm sure he had a rough day because the special teams were not great. Brandon Ennis muffed a punt that got called back, so, good thing for us because Marshall would have been set up there inside the 10-yard line. But the Jaden Fielding, 3 straight kickoffs out of bounds, which Jenny Taft told us that she talked to Ryan Day at halftime, and he said it was ridiculous. That was terrible. I don't know what happened. I thought that maybe, like they were saying, he was trying to have him directional kick or something. Like, I don't know how that happens, but Fielding definitely got the yips there. It got in his head because to do 3 straight out of bounds, I can't recall ever seeing it in my life. But what are you guys thinking, man? Whole lot of reaction, I'm sure, after this game, because there was a lot of interesting things that took place in this game. Really, a great performance overall by the offense. You know, Will Howard throws the pick early on, and I'll always take a pick on a deep ball to JJ, like throw it to JJ, but you got to give him a shot, man. You can't underthrow the ball. And after that, I don't know if we saw one single pass from Will travel more than 10 yards downfield. Maybe one to Carnell Tate on a crosser, but really everything was short stuff and a really efficient performance. I mean, the numbers are very efficient. 16 for 20 for 275, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. But, you know, I don't know how he would judge his performance. It didn't look like his body language didn't look like he felt he had a great game on a couple of those balls. It just, you know, I expect we'll hear from him that he was a little frustrated with his performance today. Kyle says very sloppy. There was a lot of sloppy stuff in that game. And you know what? When you come out 2 games and then get stuck with a bye week, I kind of expected we wouldn't see him come right out of the gate clicking. But really, you know, I think the defense kind of throws the perception off a little bit of how the offense did. The offense was fantastic. Like 7 out of 9 drives, you score a touchdown, like you absolutely killed it. And by the way, did anybody else know that Chad Pennington's son was on Marshall? That was pretty cool to see. Yeah, Matt says this is why I hate the bye weeks. That early bye week after 2 games, like let's hope that never happens again. That was absolutely ridiculous. Ron Pyle says Devin Brown will never be ready to run OSU offense. We need to give the number 2 spot to Say and get him more reps. So I was writing my notes when Devin came in, and I didn't really get a chance to see it. I don't know how. However, is that a kind of consensus feeling that he did not play so hot? I did see Ballard drop an easy ball that Devin threw. I saw that one as I was getting settled in here, and that was, you know, the ship has sailed so far for me with Ballard. I'm just like, dude, do a dance or something, but stay off the field. Emmanuel says the defense needs to tighten up. I thought they did, but you know, you can really tell just how much Tyliek means. Like that's what really stood out to me. And it's not like we don't see it every week, how dominant he is inside, but man, oh man, you know, without him in there, it really shows. It really shows. Soul Requiem says Fryer is fried. I thought all in all, the offensive line as a unit played damn good. I'll tell you what did surprise me. And we talked with Dylan about this early on. So in the press conference on Tuesday, Ryan Day was talking about Austin Searveld, and he was saying that he thought Austin Searveld certainly had earned some more playing time. Brought that up with Dylan, and Dylan kind of said in his way, from his experience with Ryan Day, the way he said that without saying there is a set plan to play him on Saturday was that's just his way of kind of patting him on the back and saying, you know, we'll get him in, you know, first off the bench or something. That's not what happened. We saw Austin Searveld come in for Tegra, I want to say maybe series 3, which was just a 1-play series. And then we saw him come back in series 4, and he played damn good. But I don't know if that's something they plan on doing going forward, or if that is a job that might still be up in the air. I don't think so. Tegra's played good. And that was really interesting to me. But Searveld played pretty well as well. I mean, we'll have to wait for the coach's film room, which again, best tool you could ever have if you're someone who really likes to break down the Buckeyes game and see, you know, what actually happened, is watching those all 22 breakdowns. They're fantastic to get a real feel. The O-line is definitely playing better, and definitely credit to Fry, like for sure. They look really solid. Obviously, Donovan Jackson being in there was a huge, but the left side was fantastic. We saw the miscommunication with Fryer and Searveld that left a free runner. We saw Fryer get smoked by Green, but you know, in all honesty, that Green dude, he's a stud. He did have 3.5 sacks, and we talked about him in the pregame. He was one of their only players that was a guy who looked like he could probably be and probably will be transferring to a bigger school at some point, I would imagine. He's definitely a stud, and he definitely smoked Fryer on that play, for sure. But all in all, I thought that Fryer played a pretty decent game, and we'll see when we watch the film. I don't think he got trashed the whole game. Chad Buck says DB throws high very often and also late, and that is his thing, right? He comes in, usually looks a little flustered, and he has a little amped up juice, and he misses with high balls. That's generally the pattern I've noticed when I see DB come in, just a little bit too amped up, has a little hard time settling in. Dan says saying through three picks in practice this week, that won't get him on the field. And no, 3 picks in practice, that's not good if you're pushing for the backup job. Definitely. Buckeye Corey says he couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat. So definitely a couple guys in here feeling the same way about DB's throw, and I wish I could have seen that whole series. I missed it. Gabriel says Howard's deep ball is terrible, and to be honest, this is something we anticipated from Howard. Last year, the statistic is out of 94 quarterbacks who threw more than 20 balls, more than 20 yards downfield, he was something like, I don't know, 75th out of the 94 guys that qualified for that stat. So it's not his forte. It's not what he does well. You would think with JJ and Carnell, that would be a little better. And when you got a shot with JJ, take the shot if he's one-on-one, and he was. So if you throw a pick in that situation, like, I don't have a problem with it. Give JJ those chances, give him those opportunities, but you can't underthrow it, right? If you're going to miss long or miss out of bounds in that scenario, you absolutely can't underthrow it. So Dan says the coaches are concerned with which quarterback is ready right now. If Howard got hurt tomorrow, Sayin hasn't shown that in practice. Chad says he didn't feel like the linebackers tackled all that well. Felt like their quarterback and backs were able to break off a lot of tackles and extend drives. I felt in the first half we didn't see that. There was a couple plays I saw that Sonny kind of he just wasn't as crisp as he usually is, and definitely saw a little bit of that as well. I thought that they looked a little just not as aggressive, or a little out of sorts the whole first half. The defense, it wasn't up to their normal standard. That's for sure. And Dago says Howard needs to get better throwing downfield. At this point in his career, I just kind of feel like this is who he is. I don't know that there is much changing. We talk about his mechanics and this and that, but it's just like, if they haven't changed anything or worked on changing anything with him, I just don't know if we're ever going to see that improve and be one of his strengths. We just kind of need him to be average at it. And again, I don't know if you guys have the stats up, but I don't feel like after that pass, there was maybe but one pass that was further than 10 yards downfield, and that one was like maybe 12. Everything was short. It looked very Dylan Gabriel-esque. Like, everything was short. Dago says, I don't believe in Devin either as a backup. And, I don't think he's given us a ton to believe that he can come in and do a great job. But last week, I thought he played pretty crisp when he came in mop-up duty. I thought he looked pretty crisp. But, all in all, I think that I still feel very confident in Will Howard. I mean, let's look at the results. 7 touchdowns in 9 drives with Will doing what he did, and he did look very crisp in that short passing game at 16 for 20. One of those a pick, so take away that one long ball, and on the shorter stuff, you're 16 for 19. That's pretty doggone good. That's pretty darn good. I mean, if we can keep that running game up, and again, obviously opponent adjusted, it's not going to look that great against everybody, but if you can keep hitting those chunk plays in the running game, you're not going to have to rely on Will making those downfield throws very often. There will come a time when we do. There will come a time when we are matched up against a team that's, has as good a talent. And when that happens, that's when, we're going to need to see it. And I don't know that we're going to get a contest until that, where we're absolutely going to have it from Will. But we're going to see. And, your guess is as good as mine, what we see when that happens. But it's certainly interesting. It's certainly interesting. Emmanuel wants to see Air get some playing time, and I can tell you unequivocally that you're not going to see that. There's no way they're going to get down to quarterback number 5 moving forward, because we now hit Big Ten play. So I would be really, really stunned if we saw that. I'd be stunned really if we saw Lincoln at this point, who's sitting at 4th. Gabriel says, if we're going to throw it short, we need to pull those Urban Meyer crossing routes back up. Yeah. I'm sure they're going to work on a lot. I'm sure they're going to work on a lot this week after that performance on the offense. I'm not sure if if that was Will getting gun shy, not wanting to throw it further downfield, or what, but he definitely played it close to the vest after that pick. Definitely did. And Dylan will be joining us here pretty soon from the booth. Dylan at the press conference right now. And if you're following along or seeing the press conference, let me know if Ryan Day has anything to say about any of these issues that we're discussing. But target-wise, we had Emeka, 5 targets, caught all 5 for 117 yards and his 68-yard touchdown. And Emeka led in targets last week. JJ led week 1. JJ with just 4 targets today, which I hate. 3 catches, 70 yards, and his 53-yard touchdown. And I definitely want to see JJ with more than 4 targets every game. I don't care how much you're running the ball or how well you're running the ball. To me, that's just like, yeah, absolutely 5-6 targets minimum for JJ. Carnell Tate had 4 targets, 4 catches, 64 yards with his 30-yarder. And the way Carnell was blocking downfield today, Carnell Tate doesn't make that block. Quinshon doesn't bust that long one. Carnell Tate with a really sticky block on that one. Also on Emeka's long touchdown, Carnell hustled again, got down there again like he did last game against Western, and threw a block on that one that I don't know if it was totally necessary. I think Mech still makes it, but really impressive stuff from Carnell with the blocking. And again, that is an attitude thing. That's an effort thing. That's a want to thing. And that's a culture that you either have or you don't in your wide receiver room. And I think we've seen in the recent past, it hadn't been there. And all of a sudden it's something that they seem to be taking seriously. And you absolutely love to see it. Honestly, it's the make or break for a lot of those chunk plays. That's the make or break. Do you got a wide receiver busting his butt trying to block? And we are seeing it this year. I think it's a great thing to have as we move forward into the season, because we do see that there are some limitations from the quarterback position. So when you can get chunk plays in other ways, and you got wide receivers blocking to help that, the odds are going to go up that you're going to catch more of those chunk plays. Additionally, on the targets, Quinshon caught 2 balls, 2 targets. David Adolph had 2 targets. How about our tight ends? Kazmarek, 2 targets. Jelani Thurman had 2 targets. Brandon Innes with just 1 target, 1 reception for 4 yards. You'd certainly like to see him get involved a little bit more, taking on the punt returns and also now taking on the kick returns. We had talked earlier in the week, and my thought was yesterday, really, you can't tell me that you're taking special teams as serious as you say you are if you're going to stick Jaden Ballard back out there. We've seen too many mistakes, too many times from Ballard back there, returning kicks, returning punts over the years. And it's just one too many for me. And he was not back there today. It was all Brandon Innes, and then go figure, Brandon Innes loves a punt. Luckily, though, did not count, but that was something I did not expect to see out of Brandon Innes. and I imagine we don't see it again for the rest of the year. I'd like to hope so. Jelani just did have that one catch. I think Will missed him on the other one, and that was a really short catch that he had. And Kasmeric had that one catch for 7 yards. Did not see G get in the action. I don't have the snaps for tight ends, but it looked to me like we saw a whole lot of Kasmeric and Jelani. When they went to 13 personnel early on in the game, we did see Bennett Christian in there with Kasmeric and Jelani on the play that G scored, or that Trey scored, one of his shorter run for a touchdown. So that was interesting. G was not in there on that one. And I can't wait to see that tight end snap count. But the defense, Stone Earl was 16 for 21 for 132 yards. And it sure felt like more. It felt like more to me than 132 yards out of Stone Earl. But good old Stone was crisp. Stone was pretty crisp. And his threat of running with 11 rushing attempts was certainly, changing the way the defense could get aggressively. Also, he got the ball out of his hands really quick as the team up north has just scored on USC. I don't know if that was their first possession or not. I kind of got this on in the background. So they are now going to take a 7-0 lead on USC. Oh, no, we only got 3 minutes left in the first half. I don't know if you guys are following that one right now. But USC, a 5.5-point favorite. By the way, the Buckeyes did not cover today. 39.5-point favorites. Missed the cover. And Chad's following along on that game as he says USC's offensive line looks like hot garbage. Dago says USC's looking soft. I talked to Kris about this yesterday on the Friday show, which, by the way, guys, that Friday live show with me and Kris, we've decided we're going to do that every Friday. So if you like that, tune in on Friday. We'll be doing that every Friday morning together, where we will kind of go over each of our takes from the week and come together and argue it out or pat ourselves on the back for what we got right. But one of the things that I said about that SC team is I am not quite sold, because we gave them the huge props for the LSU win, and I just don't think LSU is that good this year. He brought up that offensive line at SC is all 6'5", 315. And I guess we're seeing that against the Blue, they are not looking so hot. Kyle B, my guy, what's up, buddy? Wide receiver blocking, so refreshing to see. It's one of the best things about this team that we've seen so far this year. One of the things that really stands out as a big change. And, it's been a point of, this is something that, okay, so because there are a lot of people in the Ohio State Twitter sphere, right, that don't like Zach because it came out of his mouth a lot, and because he's the former wide receivers coach, a whole lot of people push back on that. Like, it's great, it's fine. But just a totally objective view, it has not been great the last few years, wide receiver blocking. And, it's something I think if it didn't come from Zach, most people would agree on. Instead, it was like this big fight between whether or not it was good. It was not. And we're seeing now what it looks like when it is good. Chunk plays. That's what you get out of it. That's what we need. Chris McLaughlin. Is it McLaughlin? Like Seth McLaughlin, or is it McLaughlin? Like I've always heard it referred to. JJ needs 7 targets minimum. I agree with you, man. I mean, I at least want to see 6. Dago says Orgy sucks. And this game has got me really intrigued now that they have popped off to a 7-0 lead. Listen, Dago says Judkins is a game changer, and boy is he ever, man. Obviously he's got all the accolades coming from Ole Miss, first team SEC as a freshman, then again in his second year. Today he goes over 3,000 yards in 2 years and 3 games. So 2 seasons and then 3 games. Dude's at 3,000 yards. Trey really close to 3,000 yards himself. I guess we'd have to count the games. I don't know how many games Trey's had. Trey's missed a lot of time. Either way, incredibly impressive, but I do think that it's pretty interesting that he got 14 carries to Trey's 6. I think he had maybe 5 carries more than him last week as well. So it hasn't been quite the 50-50 split that I thought we were going to see, as Trey just 6 carries today. Did the most with his carries, though. At 76 yards and 2 touchdowns. He looked really great. Dago says, I guess what we heard about Chip yelling at Heartline was real, because I haven't seen blocking like this since Urban or the early day teams. And, I guess so. Like Chip, he means business with the wide receiver blocking. And wow, the SC line getting blown up by the Blues interior here. This is not looking good. Not looking good for SC at the moment, as they're about to turn the ball right back over to the Blue. Dago says about Quinshon, his size and strength give me Eddie vibes, but faster. Oh, the blasphemy. Oh. I don't know. I don't know about that one, Dago. I agree with you on the physicality. I don't know that he's faster than Eddie. Eddie could fly, man. I wish we had these times for these older guys. Like, if they, matter of fact, could they do that? We see them do it with the high school kids. Like, they pull them up and they do it, what's that? I pull them up all the time here. That Twitter account that I follow that does that. They do the analytics on the high school kids, how fast they're going. I'd like to see some of the older guys, how fast they were moving on their software compared to some of the newer guys. That'd be pretty interesting. They got a picture of chubby Sharon Moore when he was playing for Oklahoma as an offensive lineman for 1 year. I don't know if he played. He was on the roster. I'm not going to give him the credit that he played if he didn't. Gabriel says, let's talk about how bad those refs were. Did they just get hired yesterday? Man, we saw it over and over and over. And it wasn't just them, right? It was the booth as well. Like, that first series, that fumble, Klatt said they were going to give the ball to Ohio State. Like, how do you miss that? They didn't even recover the ball at all. Like, it was just laying on the sideline. That was amazing. But I still don't understand why the whole shouting match with Ryan Day over that whole thing. Like, that ref came in at him hot. And I took a screenshot of it because he was so angry. I don't know why you're yelling at him like that. Like, obviously he's going to be irritated by them slow playing him like that. Everybody is. Boggsy, what's up, buddy? The Pac-2 officiating crew was just awful both ways, just terrible. I did not realize that was a Pac-2 officiating crew. I missed that right there. Andy says Eddie's a Greek god. Man deserves to live on Mount Olympus. I mean, he really is. He really is. Gabriel says it was taking them so long to do anything. It really was. They probably wasted 10 minutes of our time total game time. I was really upset to see Caden Curry get tossed. He was getting a lot of playing time, and we saw him get a sack. I think that was his first on the year, and he was amped up, and then gets tossed for targeting on what was a by the book a targeting call. I disagree with a lot of them. I that one though was pretty much textbook. He did it, but it was a gentle hit. It was a loving tap. It wasn't something really, really hurtful or painful. Just a matter of getting your head in the wrong spot at the wrong time. Little love tap. So, hate to see our guys get tossed. I don't understand why they keep doing this and why nobody will address this. The ref yelling at Day was soft as you know what. He really was, man. How funny was it though that I got a picture of it. You got Locke, big old Locke holding Day back, and as soon as he goes to hold Day back, Day then pretends like he's going forward real hard. Dudes are funny. Dudes are so funny in those situations. Like, you weren't going after him hard, and then all of a sudden, here comes Locke to hold you back. Kris says, I think no threat of the deep ball might be an issue at some point. No, I think you're right. I think it's something that they're definitely going to have to make them fear. And you're going to need to do that by manufacturing some more shots to JJ, because JJ's so good that just the threat that you're going to take those shots to JJ a couple times a game is going to make them respect it. Whether you're completing them at a high percentage or not, you've got to take them. It's got to be part of the game plan. That's been my thought all along. When you got a guy that's that skilled, that fast, and that big, they've got to respect it, but they're not gonna if you don't take them. You took one today. That ball traveled 36 yards downfield, I think, and you got to take a couple of those. You absolutely have to. Brandingo, what's up, buddy? Hello, Juck guys. Not the best performed by our defense, but our offensive line and the rest of the offense were kicking some tail, and Chip as well. I definitely was pleased, and it's listen, we'll take it anytime we can have the offensive line outperform the defensive line, and I think they did today. And yeah, absolutely, we'll take that with the trouble we've had over the last couple of years with the offensive line. They were really, really good. They were, damn near just a couple of mistakes. We saw the one mix up between Fryer and Seerveld, which Klatt blamed on Fryer. I'm not so sure that wasn't Seerveld's responsibility, but we'll see in the film breakdown. But no, they played stout. You had Fryer give up the one sack, and again, it sucks, but that dude is a pretty damn good pass rusher, and I think we'll see him playing at a big-time school. I mean, I don't think we can attribute it to him getting roasted by your average, Sun Belt Conference edge. I think that dude's a pretty primetime player with now 4.5 sacks on the season. A pretty good player for sure. Dan says, if you're going to get called for targeting 12 seconds before the end of the half is about the best you can do it. I did not even realize that, Dan. That's a great point. So if you do it before halftime, you're good. You miss the second half. If you do it right after halftime, well, you're into the second half of next game as well. You're going to be sitting. So that sucks. Roy, what's up, Roy? Roy says Marshall threw on the defense. Seemed like in the middle of the field was open a lot. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Richie Dubs, what's up, bud? What's up, bud? We may need saying this year, and that wouldn't be ideal. I hope not. I don't know. I have heard that, there is it's kind of in flux as to who the backup is, and I don't know if Dylan and I were talking about this earlier during the game. So when they were getting ready to put in quarterback 2, Dylan texted me and said on the sideline that Julian was warming up, and it wasn't Devin that was warming up. So we're sitting here thinking that they were going to put Julian in second. Then Devin ended up getting up and warming up, and Devin ended up going in second. So, I don't know. I think that there might be something going on there about who's quarterback number 2. I have heard some rumblings that, maybe there might be some talk about what's going to happen there moving forward, and we'll see what shakes out with that. But no, it would not be ideal to have a true freshman as your number 2. People I've seen point to how good Dylan Raiola is doing over at Nebraska. And while I think that, sure, if your expectation, if your team's okay, you can lose to Illinois once in a while, he's doing great for that. You know what I mean? They expect to lose 3-4 games. If you expect to lose 3-4 games and that's a successful season, absolutely start a freshman. Let a freshman roll out there. I'm with you. If you are a national championship contender, Alex Orchie's bad. Oh my God. I don't want a freshman rolling out there in a big moment over Devin Brown, who's got some experience at least, and it's been in the system for several years now. It's just not ideal. It's not ideal, especially if he's not gotten much playing time. And believe me, I absolutely am all for Julian Saint's skills. Like I've been sold on this guy for quite a while. Andy is all for saying, Kris is all for saying, it's hard, man. It's hard when you got a guy that you know is that talented, right? And it's just a matter of experience. Like you look at him and all the talent, and you're just like, you know that at some point in his career, he's going to be excellent, right? He's going to be very, very good as a college quarterback. But he's not there, and you don't got the time to get him that on-field experience, to get him there now as you enter into Big Ten play next week. My thought would have been, if you were going to do that, you start off cream puff season with those 3 games, and you say, all right, he's our 2. Let's roll with him and make sure he's ready. They chose not to do that. They chose to go the Devin route. And when you did that, to pivot off that now at this point, I feel like would be I would be questioning, like, why now? Why didn't you just do it back then and get him these 2 reps? And, they didn't. So we'll see. If they end up going that way, I would be pretty irritated that they didn't do. Kris says, that freshman talk is old news. Freshmen are a lot better prepared these days with the competition in high school. Raiola is a prime example. Like I say, yeah, no doubt. They absolutely are. And Julian's saying, I did a whole breakdown on the kid. Like, he's a quarterback savant, for one. The dude was breaking down plays on a whiteboard in 4th grade with his personal quarterback coach. Like, he's been grown up to be a quarterback. It's what he does in his spare time. He kept an iPad with all of his defensive coordinators that they played, and the defensive coordinators all around his conference. He had an iPad with a program that logged each of their tendencies and what they did. The dude's all quarterback, right? But at the same time, he's not been at Ohio State long. So yes, while he's prepared physically, well, I mean, that could be debated. His arm is, right? But he needs to put on a little weight. It's not ideal. It's not ideal. And like I said, Raiola, yeah, he's doing great in a place that it's okay. They won 5 games last year. If you win 8, you have had a successful season. You don't want to roll the dice on a kid like on a freshman when losing 1 or 2 games can derail your national championship season. I'm not saying that he's going to be better or worse than what Devin Brown would give you. What I am saying is, if you were going to go that route, start it off before cream puff season and get him these reps that we've seen Devin get. Unless you guys think Devin has played his way out of it. Sean Pettibone says, Ballard with the drops sums up his career. It's a shame, such a good athlete. And I got to disagree, Sean. Not a good athlete, an unbelievable athlete, the fastest guy on the team. The dude has made the most insane catches in practice and in screwing around. But yes, what a shame. An absolute travesty when you see a guy that is, and I'm telling you guys, he's from my neck of the woods up here in Northeast Ohio at Massillon. This dude is ridiculous as an athlete, as a receiver. And a lot of people say, well, it's because he's a one-trick pony. He's just fast. It can only run one route. That's not it either. He can run them all and run them crispy. I don't understand what the deal is. I wish I knew, but it is what it is at this point. I'm done with him. I recognize now that we're never going to see out of him what I once thought we would, coming in as such a fantastic wide receiver. And we got some buddies here. Let's bring in a couple of our pals. Ron and Kris just did their post-game show over for Bleacher Report, and they're both going to join us. I can get this. I'm having some microphone issues here, guys. I apologize. But I'm going to bring Ronnie in here, and we're going to get his take on the game. Let's pull him up with us. Ronnie!
How's it going?
What's up, brother? How you doing?
Pretty good. The Buckeyes win, so I can't complain.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. The offensive performance, 7 touchdowns in 9 drives. We saw the running game on and popping. And this, Ron, is what we all had in mind when that tweet dropped down from heaven that Quinshon was coming to Ohio State. we immediately thought, wow, what could this look like with Quinn and Trey? And I think today is the picture that we all had in our mind.
I know. When I first saw this, I totally envisioned 2 running backs in the backfield and then a 6'5", 250-pound quarterback running it in. I'd be lying if I told you that's what I expected. But, man, I absolutely love seeing that. And, like, seeing that there's like hope to be creative in the red zone. And like last year, they looked just so pedestrian and anemic when they got down there. Like they didn't have any idea, to the point where that someone like inside the Woody said, you know what? I have no answers. Let's turn Devin Brown into Tim Tebow. Like the fact that we're able to go out there and you don't know what's going to happen, and the fact that we apparently don't have tight ends on our team anymore and they're still finding ways to score, it's been amazing.
It really is. Ryan Day getting obviously he's got his time now to chill out and hang out on the sideline with everybody, not calling plays. He can go do what he wants to do, yell at the refs a little bit. We saw him get fired up today. That was pretty interesting. But what he's done is taken a big liking to messing around with special teams. I thought when we saw maybe that second kick go out of bounds today from Jaden Fielding that he was trying to have him do something. Maybe directional kick it or do something else that was throwing him out of his rhythm. It sounds like from his comments after the third one to Jenny Taft that he wasn't doing anything. Fielding was just absolutely yanking it. We saw Brandon Innes with an uncharacteristic muff that thankfully got called back. But man, RD's got to be absolutely tripping now that special teams is his baby after watching that today.
It felt like Parker Fleming snuck back on the sidelines like Connor Stallions. I couldn't believe it. I said, what is happening to the special teams? And for anyone watching out there, if you know anyone in the Woody, you get a word to those guys and let them know. I know they no longer have a guy on staff for special teams, but there was one stealing $500,000 a year for 3 years on staff. I promise you, for $150,000, I will have a better kicker in 2 weeks in the Woody, better than everyone on our roster. I don't understand kicking recruiting in college. Number one, Ohio State is one of the best schools in the country. They said $20 million a million times on today's broadcast, but not a penny for a kicker, it feels like. And I don't believe there aren't 10 kids that are scholarship on the soccer team right now that can't kick a football through an end zone every time. How hard is it to go to a cup soccer tournament and find a kid that can kick a goal kick the length of the field? There's kids doing it every goddamn Saturday all across the country. Goalies and defenders on soccer teams kicking a ball the length of an entire goddamn field, but you can't find one to kick an oblong ball out of the back of the end zone. How, Sway? How?
I think that we have found Ron's nerve for the day.
the special teams, Juck, I can't take it anymore. It's such an inexcusable part of the game to ignore and let be bad, especially at a university like Ohio State, where I am confident. I would bet my entire life that I could find a kid enrolled at Ohio State better than at least 2 kickers on our roster.
I don't disagree. And I mean, honestly, there was a kid right down the road, down in Oxford in Miami of Ohio, that Bama came and poached, which irked the hell out of me.
Should it be surprising, though? We were paying a guy $500,000 not to go on the road and recruit. Parker Fleming didn't even get a recruiting budget. He just hung out in the Woody and played Xbox, apparently.
Insane. It really is. It really is. It's unacceptable. It has been. And now I thought, things were finally coming together. And ultimately, who knows how it shakes out, but that was just a ridiculous thing to see. Really ridiculous.
Frustrating. And I mean, I guess it's part of being a spoiled Ohio State fan. If the most frustrating thing on our team is that our kicker, but then again, it makes you think, are we a kicker away from a national championship?
Well, that's just it, man. It doesn't matter until it matters, and it's one of those things that you never think about as a fan, but you hope they got in line, like they got it together. Okay. I don't know, man.
We put a stat on the screen during our post-game show. Our guy DG from Twitter tweeted it out this week. The Buckeyes have not made a field goal over 50 yards since 2019.
Wow. That's surprising.
So to think about, in the last 3 years, they spent $1.5 million paying a guy who did not produce a single punt return, kick return, lost a national championship from a missed field goal, had crucial penalties in the Team Up North games 2 years in a row, and missed kicks. How do you explain that amount of money being spent on one of the most piss-poor rooms in all of college football? If you look at the last 5 years of what's gone on at Ohio State, no returns, missed field goals, and we still don't have a kicker on the roster. I put Parker Fleming on the graphic because I was like, it's your fault, bro, that we don't have a kicker. I know you're not here anymore, but you recruited all these guys.
Yeah, but I was told that he has a great football mind. So, there's that.
That's a fun way to say that you're friends with a football coach.
We saw Ryan Day say on Tuesday's press conference regarding Austin Cerebell that he had earned some time and he wasn't quite sure how he was going to implement that. And today we saw him maybe series 3 or 4. I think it might have been series 3. He went in on the one play series for Tegra at right guard. And then again, the following series, I kind of quit tracking after that, but we definitely saw Tegra getting pulled off the field to put Austin Cerebell in, which surprised me. I talked to Dylan about it earlier this week, and Dylan will join us from the Woody here in a little bit, or not from the Woody, from the stadium here in a few after the press conference. And I'm curious to see if he asked Ryan Day about that, but that is something that we weren't expecting to see, especially after Tegra has been playing really well. Do you think this is just like, okay, final cupcake, we're going to get Austin some more reps to make sure he's ready to roll? Or do you think maybe they're planning on subbing that position in with the two of them moving forward?
I feel like they're leaving the door open just because of how well Austin played the previous 2 weeks. And it's kind of a necessity for the future of this offensive line. When you look at that 23 class, Austin's the only one with meaningful minutes at this point. And you look at the future of this team. I know we're in the middle of a potential national championship run. You hate in week 4 of the season to be talking about next year. But with Cerebell, Carson Hinsman, and Tegra Shabola, those are the only 3 known names. And even at that, that's a lot to ask for to 2 first-time starters or 2 transfers at tackle. They have a lot of questions to answer, and I feel like they're trying to find their known quantities before they have to hit the portal this offseason and know exactly what they need to attack. And I feel like I wouldn't be surprised if there's already conversations going on within the NIL collectives talking about what they're going to need to attack in the portal next year and who they feel comfortable with moving forward on this offensive line next year. And I think Austin's one of those guys, and they're trying to get him as many opportunities as they can, because whether he takes that job or not, it feels all but certain that the starting guards next year are going to be Cerebell and Shabola.
Yeah. I do think you're right on that. I think that, and I've heard this quite a bit lately about the 2 tackles out of the portal. I mean, like, that is an absolute dream scenario. Like, I just don't see it happening that you can get 2 quality starting tackles out of the portal. But man, Ian Moore, another guy who I think, they're pretty high on. I'd sure like to see him have gotten some more work by now, but definitely got some skills. I think that in a game like today, I think we saw the offensive line outperform the defensive line, which obviously they were down Tyliek. Which was, man, does it really show his value when they play without him? But I think I'll take it anytime we see the offensive line perform better than the defensive line in a game. Like, that made me feel really good. The left side looked amazing. We saw a couple of hiccups on the right-hand side. Fryer got beat once by that really good edge. I mean, the dude's really good. He just flat out beat him. We saw a miscommunication with Fryer and Austin on one play that left a free rusher. But other than that, I thought they played damn good.
I did too. You talked about the rotation on the offensive line, and I need your help here because I wasn't able to monitor as much as I wanted. Did they get Arvell in the game?
Oh, Arvell was in the first series, yeah.
Okay. I wasn't sure how much that they got to rotate him in there. I felt like that we would have saw more rotation in this game with how much they put it away. I mean, you did see it there towards the end, but it felt like, and maybe it was just I'm not seeing it on the first watch, and I got to catch it on the second watch. But it didn't feel like they were rotating as much in the first 2 weeks as they did in the first 2 weeks.
You're right about that. Definitely not as much. I'll tell you who I can't recall. I don't recall seeing CJ Hicks at all. I'm sure he probably played at some point, but I don't remember seeing him. But they did go to 3 linebackers on the very first series with Arvell in, and then he played a boatload today. I don't have the final snap counts, but he definitely played a lot. What we did see to start the game in place of Tyliek was Hero Kanu, and Hero did not play good. And then we quickly saw him pulled. Jason Moore came in, which we've been talking about Jason Moore quite a bit. And I was just talking to him with Dylan about him with Dylan last week, that he's someone that we heard a whole lot, look out for Jason Moore. Jason Moore's coming. Obviously, physically, he's a monster. But then it just kind of, faded away. And today we got to see him for a bit. But then we saw a lot of Tywone Malone playing kind of over Hero Kanu, which kind of disappointing. I mean, I'm happy he played pretty well. But Hero's a guy that I was expecting to be a really solid rotational player this year. So he was getting pushed around, taking bad angles. The initial touchdown, the dude went right where Hero should have been. It was just not great.
It felt like, I don't know if you caught it during Ryan Day's press conference this week, he talked about defensive tackle depth. And me and Q talked about it on our show this week, and he thought that I might have been reading too much into it. And I was like, bro, this is a #1 lesson in deciphering coach speak, because this is coach speak 101 right there. And I was like, this has nothing to do with the top 4. He's not talking to any of those people. He's letting them know, hey, everybody's starting to write off everybody that's behind Caden McDonald and Hero Kanu. And this is a call to action for everyone that is in the 3 deep and past the 2 deep, that, hey, this door isn't completely closed, and this is a challenge to you to push for an opportunity. And you saw Tywone Malone get that message loud and clear. And it was like you said, a bit disappointing that Hero Kanu forced his hand and you end up seeing Tywone Malone on the field. But it is good to see that the room is deep and you have a guy like that you trust and come in and perform.
Yeah, it was great to see that for Tywone. And I don't know, man, maybe we'll see a little bit more of him moving forward in that rotation. But I did catch that, and I listened to your show that day. I heard you guys talking about that, and it kind of dawned on me like, boy, he's right. He did bring that up, and that's really odd that he did bring that up. Like, it just, when I was listening to it, it just kind of, I glossed right over it.
He talks in code. Me and Q have been doing these Ryan Day interview analyses for 2 seasons now, and I feel like I'm very fluent in Ryan Day speak. Especially, I always joke, I was like, I don't know if he ever talked about it, but he has to be a fan of Mike Tomlin, because he uses so many Tomlinisms that it's like, you're speaking my language, buddy. I was like, my coach says this stuff all the time. I know exactly what you're trying to say. So I feel like I'm almost fluent in Ryan Day coach speak, and that jumped out to me a little bit this week.
Yeah, it was a good pickup by you. Carnell Tate, his blocks, I don't want to say sprung. We needed to. Quinshon's long run, you had a great block by Simmons, a great block by Donovan Jackson, but if Carnell doesn't stick on his block, that thing doesn't go anywhere. On Emeka's touchdown, we saw Carnell race down there and pick up a crucial block. We saw him do it again last week. Carnell Tate's blocking is absolutely phenomenal, and it feels to me like we finally got this wide receiver room to embrace blocking. I don't know if that's a Chip thing. I don't know if it's just a change that they all wanted to have. We had heard that, Chip was hollering, saying, these wide receivers got to block. But it seems like they have finally embraced it. I can't recall seeing this since, I don't know, really the urban days. This really, you got to embrace it as part of your culture in your room. It's got to be something that's celebrated, or they'll never do it. I think we're finally seeing it, and that's what we need to pop these chunk plays.
Yeah, and I mean, you can't say enough about Carnell Tate, a guy that could be at Tennessee right now catching a ton of touchdowns from Nico, and he's at Ohio State learning to be a great wide receiver, putting his head down and doing the dirty work, a guy that I feel like I hate when we force feed certain players, like when it seems so evident that they're going out of their way to get them the ball. I don't care. Give Carnell the ball. I feel like he deserves schemed plays where, no matter what, they told the quarterback in the huddle, I don't care if he's open or not, throw it to Carnell. I feel like we need a couple more of those plays just to reward the effort that he's putting in the blocking game. And I don't want to see a guy like that be disappointed because like they're coming to wide receiver you, and every time he touches the ball, he's doing something with it. I mean, he had 64 yards today. You see two guys ahead of him go off. But you can't say enough about this guy doing the dirty work and then still being ready anytime the ball does come his way. You'd like to see him get a few more catches and be rewarded for his effort in the run game because we've been begging for this from our wide receivers for years now.
I'm so with you. I don't I have a similar philosophy, the force feeding. But when you are putting up that kind of effort, he's responsible for several of these chunk plays we've seen. Like, if he doesn't do that, and we've seen so many of our good wide receivers not do that, just not be engaged in it, we just kind of slough it off. It is what it is. It's a wide receiver. He's doing it. He deserves it. And boy, just a sensational start to the season, even for not having that many grabs for him. Just 4 targets today, which honestly, JJ just had 4. Emeka just had 5. A lot of the short stuff, I don't know if this was part of the plan coming in, but we saw that pick early by Will, which I'm usually not ever going to get mad about taking a shot and throwing a pick, especially if it's to JJ, but you can't underthrow it. After that pick, it was, I don't know if we saw another ball travel more than 10 yards down the field, which playing against an opponent like this, I would have liked to see him, do that a little bit more. I don't know, man. This is maybe a Will Howard game that the stats look decent at 16 for 20 for 275, 2 touchdowns and a pick. I felt like in a lot of the commenters here, the feeling was just like that wasn't so great from Will today.
No, it wasn't. I'm interested to see if the identity of this offense starts to shift. I feel like we kind of saw them throw it around and get the stats to the wide receivers early in the year. But when it comes crunch time, are they going to make a team just, hey, we're going to take the air out of the ball. Will's going to RPO you to death, and our running backs are going to just have you in a blender, and we're just going to make you be right on every play, or we're going to out-physical you and show you that we have more talent. And I feel like when push comes to shove, the Buckeyes are going to become a run-first team and dare teams to come down into the box. And I feel like when it comes time for these wide receivers to get open, that they're going to be able to continue to gash them. And they've proven an ability to get big play yardage without necessarily having to go deep. And I'm interested to see if they're able to still have that type of success against better defenses. I don't know if Juck is having technical issues or if I'm just the only one on the screen. If I am the only one on the screen, can someone let me know in the chat? That would be helpful. Okay, Juck's out. It is just me. If you guys want to toss some questions in the chat, I will gladly.
Like a good neighbor, Chris Drew is here.
Like a good neighbor, Chris Drew is here, man. Juck got fired. I'm sorry that you guys had to see that on the air. What's going on?
Don't know. Hey, it's Juck.
Oh, man. Okay, so it is just me. Chris Drew is here. I'm sure Juck will be back.
More.
Chris in his Juck uniform. Show off that merch. Where can you get that at?
What the Juck is going on?
What the Juck is going on, man? A couple of Juck guys just cutting it up, right?
I'm watching this Michigan USC game, bro. Zachariah is getting it going. But Michigan's up 14-0.
I'm trying not to be disrespectful to Juck. I keep seeing I got to scroll back in the chat. Our guy, Brandingo, and someone else has been talking about a southeast. I'm not going to say that other word. But yeah, bro. Southeast 619, they've been talking to us about this USC game in the chat, and I just keep looking down at my phone like, oh no, I've talked so crazy about Michigan fans. They're going to be talking crazy.
Guys, don't mind us. It's just the best damn takeover.
Yeah, but Kris, what did I say to you about this USC team? The one good thing, if they do go out here and lose to Michigan, right back to the scheduled program. Stop talking about this guy and Ryan Day in the same conversation. Yep. He's still a fraud on defense. And that I'm looking at Alex Orji, 3 pass attempts, only 40 yards rushing. They must really just be pushing their shit in a welcome to the Big Ten moment for USC against Michigan right now.
But they're heading down to go score right now, it looks like.
They kicked a field goal. Am I missing it?
Oh, maybe. I ran upstairs. What's up, Juck?
What's up, brother? Looks like Miller Moss just missed an easy one. He's missed a couple.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about this just yesterday. I'm telling you, the USC offensive line, which we just talked about yesterday, not looking so hot against this Michigan front, buddy. They're not looking so hot.
Can I ask you guys one question before I get out of here?
Yeah.
Because the best quarterback, I'm going to give you 3 names, and you tell me the best quarterback. Will Howard, Miller Moss, Devin Brown.
Devin Brown won.
I'm going with Big Willie.
Is there any buyer's remorse at USC right now? I have 2 guys that they could have had. Devin Brown once committed to USC. Will Howard was interested, was going to visit USC, and they saw Miller Moss go off in the bowl game and said, no, we're good.
Yeah, no, Will Howard's the best of the 3 for sure. Chill Will, I would think. But Miller's my favorite to watch, I think, because he's like he's got all the makings of like a Kris Drew favorite quarterback. He runs around a little much. You never know where that ball is going to land. He makes a lot of bad decisions that haven't stung him yet. So I'm a Miller Moss guy. But if I'm trying to win a championship, give me Will Howard.
I'm going to try to reverse jinx. Man, this Michigan team looks great. I couldn't see a way that USC could ever come back and beat them. Boy, would I hate to be wrong.
Mm-hmm. You do make a great point, though, Ron. Like, if Michigan does end up whooping them and embarrassing them, we get to bash USC too. So it's a win-win either way.
Exactly. We're going to find a way to spin this narrative. I appreciate you having me, Juck.
Thanks, Ryan. We'll talk to you later, buddy.
See you guys. Peace. Go Bucks.
What's up,
JD? What's shaking, brother?
I'm going to flip us. It's your show, bro. You're on the left.
I'm on the left. We have got – did you get a chance – are you wearing your Juck Eyes shirt, bro?
Yeah, dude, I put it back on, dude.
Look at my guy.
Big Juck Eye. What the Juck is up, man?
The first thing I want to know is, did you get to see Devin? I was writing down my notes. I did not get to see Devin. We've got some angry folks in the chat about Devin's performance, not moving to saying. What are you thinking about his performance today? I did see one drop by our guy Ballard. I saw that one.
The Ballard drop was a real drive killer, a real vibe killer and drive killer. But honestly, like late in games, it didn't look great. It looked a little out of sync. It looked like he was throwing receivers that he hadn't thrown to, and that might be an issue. But here's the thing: like for this team in particular, like we've seen Devin at least in moments move the ball a little bit. I'm not going to sit here and make the same mistakes that I made last year. Like if Julian Sayin wants to get playing time over Devin Brown, then you just got to perform better in practice than Devin Brown and go from there, I think. But, right now, my belief is if Will Howard goes down, this team doesn't win a natty regardless. So, like, I'm trying not to get too caught up in the backup quarterback thing right now. But I can't understand some of the anger. But it just won't be reversed, right? It's like if Devin were to go out there and play really well, there would be it would still be, oh, well, Julian would have done that. And I guess I've seen it like with Jackson Arnold. Like Dylan Gabriel got pushed out for Jackson Arnold, who was like the young, shiny new toy. And now Jackson Arnold's like terrible. So yeah. I'm not too caught up in it. And I think that if Julian wants to play this year, he's got to outperform Devin in practice. So
yeah. I'm kind of the thought that if you were going to go with saying, like, if you know what Devin is,
yeah,
if you were ever planning at any point on not going with Devin, you needed to make that call right off the rip and get Julian those reps in games 1, 2, 3 against these cream puffs. At this point, I think if you do end up going with Julian, then you've kind of screwed up. Like I
Mhm.
feel like if you were going to do that, you needed to make that commitment then. But we'll see where it goes. But yeah, a lot of irritation in the chat today about that. But
Well, here we go.
definitely-
I
Yeah.
hate doing this, but I'll just do it. Like, if Julian wanted to play today, coming off this bye week, he needed to have a really good 2 weeks. Instead, when given an opportunity, he had a really bad pick six in a practice. So it's like if you have a really bad pick six in a practice, like you can't expect them to play you like 2 days later.
Mhm.
Like when you're in a move it period with the twos in a move it period, and you throw a bad pick six, if you're Ryan Day, it's like okay, you had a bye week. We split the 2 reps with Devin for a lot of this time to try to get you a chance. I can't, in good faith, risk chemistry or risk frustration on this team by playing you when I just watch you throw a pick six in practice. And the big thing about practice is don't make mistakes.
That's right. That's right. And make the routine plays routinely, Chris.
Yeah. So make the routine plays routinely. So that's kind of where I'm at. Like if Julian Sayin wants to play ahead of Devin Brown, he needs to like in a move it period before a game, not have a pick six.
Now, my thought though, I thought that we could win a national championship with Devin Brown or Will Howard. And I still don't know that anybody can tell me differently until we see Devin Brown ever play a full game.
Yeah. And I guess I'm trying to like do the show me before, but we probably could honestly, like with Devin's big arm. I mean, today proved that this team just wants to run the football.
Yeah, they definitely don't want to throw the ball downfield, particularly after that interception. I was saying to Ron, I don't know if you have the stats, but I don't think that we saw a ball travel more than 10 yards downfield after that, which I feel like in these creamy puffy games, maybe you should be taking a couple more shots, not even shots, but even, some 15 to 20 yard routes. Everything was short. Everything was short.
Everything was super short. It did feel like, okay, like interception, we're done. Like we were having fun with it. We're gonna shut it down. We're gonna run the football. And from there, I'm almost a little bit concerned because like that kind of shows, okay, like this team doesn't feel comfortable continuing to attack the outside. Because I've seen some quarterbacks, some programs, like Hypo's program, if they throw a pick outside, they're going to come back and go right back to it. Like the belief that once you fall off the horse, get back on it and see what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Do you think this team's going to need a downfield passing game to win a title, or do you think they can do the Michigan style? We're just going to, take the air out of the football.
I feel like there's going to be some games where you're going to have to be decent, right? Like it just feels like, I mean, you make a good point about Michigan, but I don't know. It seemed like if they ever got in that spot in a big game last year, they could have gone to the well with JJ. They could have had it, right? Like a little, I don't know. It makes me uncomfortable not knowing, you know what I mean? Like I do want a little bit of assurance. And that's why I just kind of wish in a game like this against a team like Marshall, you're just kind of building up some positive equity, some good mojo with it, some good feelings, and go back to it, bro. You've got JJ, and we talked about this before the season. Like, I want them to fear JJ, that you're going to be taking those shots, whether or not they convert or not, because it's going to scare the hell out of everybody, knowing that you're going to take them with JJ. And, it's just, by the way, just 4 targets for JJ today, which, again, you know how I feel about that. Not happy with 4 targets for JJ, despite the amazing running game, which was awesome to see.
But he got his touchdown, Juck. My thing has always been like, is Jeremiah Smith going to stay on pace to have a better freshman year than the Amari Coopers of the world, the Julio Joneses of the world, and the the Calvin Johnsons of the world? And additionally, this is something for you, Juck. I want to see if Jeremiah Smith in year 1 can have better stats than DK Metcalf his entire career at Ole Miss.
Love it.
That is what I want to see. Because obviously that's the receiver body type wise he gets compared a lot to, and like physical tools. But he's so much more polished, so much quicker, earlier.
Hell yeah. Without a doubt. We've got a pressing super chat for our guy here. Edwin Aracho Jr. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you. He's got a 3-leg parlay, $10 to win 79. Now he needs to know, should he cash out early and take this?
Did we lose Juck, or is it me? If you gave me a chance. It is just me. I think I lost Juck again. I guess I'll read the rest of the parlay. Edwin, thank you for the 5 3-leg parlay. 10 to win 72. Need USC to complete it. Do I take the early cash out option at 45.64? I mean, life's too short for a cash out, bro. So unless you want to cash out, take the 30 and then put 10 on Michigan, see if you can get them at plus money. But I'm not entirely sure. But we did lose Juck, but it's cool, guys. We could do it. We can hang out. We could rock out. We could rock out for a little bit. Rock out with the fellas. I am the Black Juck today. I don't really have show notes, but it was just kind of an instant reaction. So, I mean, guys, I guess you guys just shoot your questions. No, life's too short for the cash out. Go ahead and take it. Go ahead and play this one straight. I'm trying to see. Oh, my guy, how'd the game go last night? The game went nice. For those who don't know, I went to go see St. Ignatius play Hoban, and Hoban was a big favorite, but obviously, like everybody knows, Hoban's got all those players that are going to end up at Ohio State. I was really impressed with Sam Greer. They have a kid number 2 on that offense that I want to ask Juck about at some point. Something Johnson, I believe, is his name. And Albert Hill, obviously the number 1 corner in 2026, was absolutely stupid on offense. Like, he's so athletic. It was crazy to watch him kind of run away from guys. And I always look to see how much an offensive coordinator trusts the stars in the offensive line. I saw that early in the game when Hoban went to go score, when they went to the well, it was always running along the left side. And so when that happens, it's like, okay, like that kid's a star. I do wonder about how big Sam Greer is going to get, but he was really moving guys off the ball. Fun to watch. If you have not gotten a chance to go see him play, I definitely would highly recommend it. I think they play Walsh at some point too, in what should be a pretty good game. I want to see if I can get to the USC game and kind of watch that one as I go. So to see what that looks like. But I wasn't super impressed with Eli Lee, but I did think that everybody else played really, really well. And I did think Albert Hill played really, really, really good ball, to say the least. What do we got? Oh, Juck just sent me a text. I saw it coming again after the first one. What's the score of the game? Somebody please help me out so I can, while I freaking look for it. Is that game on? If you gave me a chance, I'll take it. Is this USC game getting ugly? Oh my goodness. 14-3. Is USC getting pushed back? That is disgusting. That's what we call not ideal. My mic is wilding? What's my mic? I'm on the right mic. I should be good. Caveman, thanks for the 2. What do I think about JTT? I don't want to give too ridiculous of a take because I know that like JT's going to show some crazy flashes at some point, but I'm of the belief that I would give 30% of Caden Curry snaps. I mean, of JTT snaps to Caden Curry. I think that Caden Curry is really good. I think that Caden Curry gives you some of like the psycho moments. I think that he's a guy that's always around the football and has like really good instincts, really high motor. And when we saw him in pass rush situations on the inside, like what he was able to do, and it was really impressive and fun to watch. So I'm a big Caden Curry guy. I know a lot of people aren't, but I think Caden Curry is really, really talented. So I'll just kind of go from there and see how things go. I want to address this. Ron, thanks for the question. Shouldn't need the ones to make Devin look good. He should make the twos look better, but he doesn't. I think I'll respectfully, really, really disagree. It's like a lot of times when guys practice with the ones and they play at the twos, they play with the twos and not even with the twos, with the threes. I think you can get a lot of those clunky situations. Like if you think that's the best quarterback that like push comes to shove, like Devin is better than he showed today. I think that's pretty safe to say. Like we saw him in the spring game, like elevate guys, but when you're in with like David Adolph, like there's not gonna be much separation. Like Jaden Bauer had the bad drop. Is that Ron coming to rock out with me? So I guess I disagree with that, Ron. If that makes sense. Brick, thanks for being a member for 5 months. I think that was partially Smith's fault. He didn't seem to make an attempt to come back to the ball. I think he got a chance to run inside. On the interception? No way. What's up, Ron?
I went to call you. I was about to call you, and I went to see if you were done on Juck, and I saw you here by yourself. So I was like, I might as well jump back on.
Yeah, what a legend. He says,
Yes.
Brick said he thinks that maybe that interception was partially Smith's fault. I don't think so.
They said on the call that they think that Jeremiah was running a lazy route, and they could see him visibly start running faster because he didn't think he was getting the ball. And it was still kind of like not there. So I feel like it's a little bit of both, but I'm not giving Will a pass on that. It's starting to become a pattern as far as these underthrows, and you'd like to see him get the ball there. But I'd like to revisit the Devin comment if we can.
Oh yeah, I'll revisit the Devin comment from Ron. Shouldn't need the ones to make Devin look good. He should make the twos look better, but he doesn't.
Agreed. I'm starting to get to the point, and you know how big of a Devin guy I am and how much I support him, but I need him to make the most of these moments, and it makes it hard to defend when he doesn't. And I'm not willing to give Devin that pass, not because I'm out on Devin, but because I believe in Devin that much. And like you said, we haven't seen the best showing, but it feels like it's becoming a pattern that we're not seeing the best of Devin. And Ryan Day has addressed this as far as when I put you out there, I'm not expecting you to just hand the ball off. I want this offense to continue to move. And while I feel like that's a little bit of coach speak because Ryan does take his foot off the pedal, he has given Devin the opportunity to throw the ball, and it hasn't looked the best. And I want him to make the most of those moments.
Like they put together a really good drive for him last week. Like he went 5 for 5, like really snappy throws. Like, and here's where I think that it's a little odd to kind of critique him based on these moments. They ask him to make throws that they never ask Will to make. Like they never ask Will to make drive throws outside the numbers. They never ask him to make that kind of out route throws. They give Will a lot of the easy RPO stuff. And
I don't know, but I feel like that is Devin's game though. I feel like that almost is a testament to fair play calling that they don't ask Devin to do this shit that Will.
Well, it's like you're expecting like the same level of efficiency when like RPOs are like more quarterback friendly.
No. I'm not expecting the same level of efficiency. I'm expecting Devin to look efficient in what he does best in the same way that Will looks efficient in what he does best. And I know that's an unfair comparison, like you said, because what Will does best is higher percentage plays. But again, Ryan Day's been telling us for 3 years, I need you to be consistent and I need you to not turn the ball over. Consistency is what I'm looking for from you out there. So if you're going to have that different, less efficient type of play style, that gunslinger mentality, I'm going to need you to flash a little bit more. And not that I don't think that Devin can't do it. I think it becomes harder to defend when he doesn't make the most of those opportunities. Because I called you at one point this offseason, and what did I tell you my biggest fear of this season was?
I don't have it. What is it?
That the fan base would turn on Devin because Ryan pretty much seems solidified in Devin being the backup quarterback. And everybody has always had the belief with Ryan Day, he clearly puts the best quarterback out there. Devin's not playing because Devin's playing the best guy. Why doesn't that logic apply to Devin and Julian at the moment?
Well, that's what I asked earlier. Like that, and I think I'm pushing back because like people want to see Sand right now, and it's like whoa, like you guys told us to trust the coaches. Like if Julian Sand doesn't have the bad pick 6 on Tuesday, he probably plays. Like this game. He didn't. You know how Ryan Day feels about like mistakes like that. And also, if you are Ryan Day, like, do you feel comfortable with the size of Julian Sane and a dejected Devin Brown if you play him if Will goes down?
There's no such thing as a dejected Devin Brown. I feel like Devin Brown, the competitor that we know him to be within this offense and opportunity and national championship run, it's a guy that you don't have to worry about not staying ready. So that's not something that I necessarily fear.
I think you get a dejected Devin Brown if you start Julian Sane over him if Will goes down.
Start over him. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I think Devin Brown. I think Devin is going to get the first crack until Devin. And for Julian to surpass Devin Brown at this point, I feel like he would have to be playing at a level that damn near rivaled Will Howard, or Ryan Day's just going to go with who he's comfortable with.
But also, like, we're having this conversation mainly because, like, the fans were talking about it. I want everybody to know I don't want to talk about Devin Brown. Like,
no, I saw it in the chat. I saw someone suggest, they said Devin Brown going to go crazy at Syracuse next year. And my God, Fran Brown and Devin Brown. Look, here's my thing. I am a Devin Brown fan, and I am almost to the point, especially with how toxic it has become within the fan base, that I want to see both sides succeed. And what do I text you every week? That should be Devin.
Oh, yeah.
Every time I'm watching Utah, I feel like Devin could be playing like a top 25 quarterback in the country within that offense. I think Devin has all the capabilities, and I know you don't want to have this conversation, but I saw it in the chat, and you guys were having it. Like,
it's like all over Twitter. Like, because here's the thing. Like, no, I'm gonna bring Dan up here too. All I know is, like, no matter what Devin does, like, in games, it'll always get judged under a different scope. Like, even if he were to go out there and go crazy, which we had seen like last year with him and Kyle. Like, there were moments where he would go out there last year and seize an opportunity, and it still was never good enough. And I feel like
there are people. Everybody's made their decision already.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, this decision's already been made. So it's like last week when Devin goes 5 for 5, it's like no talk about it. And then it's
I don't like to get political, but I don't believe they're swing voters. Like, you know who you're voting for by now. Like, you know what I mean? You're either a Devin guy at this point or you're not. And I feel like the people that get on, I mean, our Twitter community, Devin Brown steps on the field and the flood wave begins of the Devin hate, so much so that I believe that some of these people have these tweets queued up in their drafts before the game even started. I don't believe these are legitimate takes. They're people that fucking have already decided their guy is saying, and that's who they want to see next, and they're going to bitch about it regardless. I think that I'm right there. I'm taking everyone else's advice. Ryan Day knows who the best quarterback is, and he'll play him. And as long as Ryan Day keeps trotting out Devin Brown as the 2, I would assume that Devin Brown is showing something in practice and enough on film on Saturdays that Julian's not coming out before him. And if Julian comes out, I think that'll tell you everything that Ryan Day has seen in practice, and he's made that step. And I don't think Ryan Day's scared to play Julian over Devin. I think as soon as he believes that Julian is better than Devin and is capable of being the 2, if Will goes down, not the 2 in a blowout against Marshall. And that's the key differentiator there, as far as there's no point to, like, as you said, have a dejected Devin Brown if Devin Brown's still the quarterback that you're going to go to if Will gets hurt. So until Ryan Day believes that if the season comes down to Julian Sane starting the rest of the season because of a Will Howard injury, you're not going to see Julian Sane come out on the field before Devin Brown. And I think that makes perfect sense.
Guys, what are first of all, thanks for pulling me in. What's going on?
Nothing much, man.
We're just getting put in this civil war that I don't want any parts of. Like,
I feel well, first of all, I feel like we're like at Juck's house and he's not home. This is a little awkward.
Yeah, he told me to close it down whenever we're done.
He's a great host.
It's like, dude, don't leave your back door open, man. When you know the hoodlums are in the area, right?
Not the back door.
So hey, let's let's break this down to what the hate has really been about through these first 3 games for Devin. What was the common factor in week 1 and today in regards to Devin's performance?
Is it the spread?
It's the spread. He didn't cover. We needed another touchdown to cover. I am absolutely positively sure without a shred of a doubt that 80% of the vitriol that we're hearing from this kid in week 1 and today is because people had the points and we didn't cover. Now, let's not think about today when, they drove the length of the field and had an 8-minute drive to start the game and scored a touchdown, and that we gave up a touchdown with 12 seconds left in the first half. That's not why we didn't cover. We didn't cover because Devin Brown went out there with the threes, as wideouts who couldn't run a 5-yard out, and they didn't call plays to let him push the ball down the field. Like, come on, guys. Like, whatever. Like, to your point, Julian's not performing in practice, man. And it's not just the picks that he's been throwing. He had 3 picks this week, and he threw a pick 6. He's not grasping the run game, the RPO game, to their liking, to the coaching staff's liking. Like, he is struggling with that adjustment. And he might be the golden child in the future, but he's not ready to go on the field. And these coaches are worried about what happens if Will Howard gets hurt tomorrow. Who's going to go in and who's going to give them the best chance to run the offense with the ones? And right now in practice, Devin is the one that consistently shows that. I do believe that there's a difference between going out there with who he went out there with today, as well as, as compared to if he went out there with the ones. It would be a completely different, it would be a different play call. It would be a different, scheme. It would be a different everything. So,
I got you.
And if you look at what they called 2 weeks ago, like they actually ran the offense on that one really nice drive that he had and led to a scoring drive. Today, they weren't calling our offense. They weren't calling what they were running earlier in the game when he went in there. They were running a bunch of little short stuff. And,
here's my comp just real quick. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I do want to remind everybody at this point. I told Ron this before the year. Last year at Texas, people knew that Arch would be the next stop. When Quinn Ewers got hurt, who did they play?
Malik Murphy. And look at Arch still being Arch this year. And that's anytime you think about this season, remember what Arch looks like today and what he looked like yesterday. And still, they went with Malik Murphy, and it was the right choice.
In a playoff race.
It's crazy to think, but you were talking about the vitriol for not covering. I hope it's not about betting, because the vitriol we're going to get after Kris told everyone hammer USC 9.5 this morning.
Yeah, I busted butt out.
He said put that in every. I believe you said at one point this week, put that in every parlay you bet this weekend,
just to get the juice going. I'm down horrendous.
Are you betting it live right now?
No,
Michigan 9.5.
I'm closing all my gambling accounts because I was about to put $1 billion on it.
Hey, you guys got to give Ice Sharks Buckeye Best Bets a little bit of a look on the best damn pod in the land. I'm on a 4-pick heater. I'm 4-2 on the season, 4-0 over the last 2 games.
No, Dan. You probably bet the correct way. I'm a degenerate. I base it on field. I base it on field. You know what I hit week 1, dog, for a thou wow?
You had something crazy in there, didn't you?
2 defensive touchdowns on the set. You know who really bangs the set?
Yep.
My boy Gabe Powers.
You know who went crazy with their predictions?
Who?
I gotta give him a shout out. Your guy DG was like, I'm feeling a Mecca Ibuka this morning. I'm like,
hey,
nice.
DG be having some plays for real. DG's boy, dude, hit a parlay. It was Ohtani, 2 home runs and 2 stolen bases in one game. $5 to win $1,300. Cashed it.
Jeez.
Cashed it. Hey, bro, Juck told me to close this show down. We're not representing him well. Get your closing thoughts out, man, because he just got up here.
No, man. So, you know what? I think there was expected to be a little bit of rust coming out of a supposed improvement week. I didn't expect it to be from the defense, to be quite honest with you. I'm a little worried about, a mobile quarterback and, some guy that's willing to stand in the pocket and let the play develop. So we'll see what happens, I mean, I do think we're going to be able to outscore people. I'm not worried about that at all. And I think when the time comes, we're playing the bigger games, these guys will rise up. I think it's been pretty vanilla to date. and that'll change probably against Iowa a little bit, and then certainly against Oregon.
There you have it. Any closing thoughts, Ron?
No, I'm sorry to hurt the numbers.
Chill out. This was fun. This was funny. I'm gonna go over to Juck's house and bring a couple hamsters so we can get this thing really moving again.
Whoa. Why that had Richard Gere flavor to it?
Man,
what's that all about?
This is not a Diddy party. This is Juck on Buck. Hey, I'm gonna holler at y'all, bro. Go watch some football and go USC.
Later, boys.
That's a different you, but okay.
All right, Ron, bro. I'll holler at you. All right, bye, everyone.